Welcome to DEFCON 3. I'm KT McFarland. For months, we've heard that Al-Qaeda core is finished. Osama bin Laden is dead, and the core of Al-Qaeda has been decimated. But then with the Paris massacre, everybody's scratching their heads and paying it a second look. Maybe it's not finished. So joining me to discuss is Tom Joscelyn of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies and the Long War Journal. Thank you so much for joining us. So is core Al-Qaeda alive and well?
Unfortunately, it is. And what we see in Paris right now, there's a lot of confusion in the reporting about who is responsible, of course. But all the evidence says it's Al Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, as it's called, and you'll see people refer to that as an affiliate of Al Qaeda or something along those lines. That's
like
actually
the JV.
That's right, yeah, or some minor. It's actually not true. Al Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula is in fact what they refer to as a regional branch of Al Qaeda. Basically, they're responsible for waging jihad in Saudi Arabia and Yemen. Now, on top of that, the leadership of AQAP also holds management positions within Al Qaeda's global organization. In other words, they basically direct things far beyond Saudi Arabia and Yemen. And so something like we see in the Paris attack is totally within their portfolio to do because they're following the mission set forth by Osama bin Laden and Ayman al-Zawahiri, the head of al-Qaeda, and they still answer to the most senior leaders of al-Qaeda to this day, directly. So the idea that this is not core al-Qaeda, I think, is foolish.
Talk to me about the competition, then, between al-Qaeda and ISIS. For 6 months we've thought, well, al-Qaeda's finished, it's all ISIS. Now it seems that are they in competition with each other, or do they work together? Yeah,
unfortunately, a lot of the reporting on ISIS was wrong, too, because Al-Qaeda actually maintained control of a lot of its network. ISIS, just like Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, is a regional branch of Al-Qaeda. ISIS was a regional branch of Al-Qaeda, and that's basically they had their territory that they were assigned under Al-Qaeda's scheme for the world for waging jihad. And what happened is their leadership, in particular the head of ISIS, decided that basically he no longer wanted to answer to the senior leadership of Al-Qaeda. He was the number one. He was going to take over. This is what he tried to do. And some groups have gone his way. Some jihadists have gone his way. But more often than not, the senior-most jihadists around the globe, from West Africa through South Asia, basically remain allied with Al-Qaeda, not ISIS.
Tom, when we look at all after the fact, whether it's the Paris massacre, whether it was the Fort Hood shooter, every one of these dozens of incidents, after the fact we said, the clues were all there. He did this, he did that, we should have seen this coming, and yet we never seem to get in front of it. We always sort of, in hindsight, identify it. Is there any way of looking for the needle in the haystack, any way of looking for these sort of red flags that show up and connect them before there's an attack?
Well, I'd say two things about that. One, there's sort of a cognitive bias we have in this stuff because we don't see all the stuff that's foiled, all the plots that are foiled. We only see the ones that really get through. And the plots that even get to advanced stages that are foiled, a lot of people forget them. We don't remember that there actually were a sophisticated plot afoot. In fact, in 2010, there was a very serious plot directed by Osama bin Laden to launch Mumbai-style attacks in Europe. Everybody forgets about that, but then we see another Mumbai-style attack in Paris in the Charlie Hebdo offices. It's very consistent with what they're trying to do. The second thing is that, what bothers me in this case, more than other cases, is that the brothers who carried out the attack, particularly on the magazine, were well known. These are guys, all the red flags are there. That's what's troubling. That's what's troubling. I mean, these are not two guys who came out of nowhere. And so, yes, the intelligence community, Western intelligence services, and law enforcement, they stop a lot of plots. But in a case like this, you really got to take a long, hard look. Like, why did these two guys get through when they were just such well-known quantities in the counterterrorism world?
Tom, you described this as a worldwide movement. Is our strategy for dealing with it, should it also be a worldwide movement? Should we be working in concert with other Western countries?
We have to. We do that to a certain extent. We have to continue to do that, but we have to work with countries, far outside the West as well. I mean, there's a direct tie or link between violence over there and violence over here. This is something the 9/11 Commission found all the way back in 2004. It remains true today. Think about in Yemen, where Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula is waging this prolific insurgency, trying to take control of the government, trying to take control of territory. They can walk and chew gum at the same time. They're doing that while they're executing and putting forward plots against the West. There's no disconnect between the two things. They're both consistent with their overall strategy and their worldview. We have to see them consistent as being part of one worldview as well. And in fact, as they make gains elsewhere, as they make gains over there, the threats to us over here grow.
That's Tom Joscelyn, editor of the Long War Journal and also with the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. If you want to find out more about this story and others, go to foxnews.com. Thanks for joining DEFCON 3. I'm KT McFarland.